They can be in this at any moment. They just gotta up their mental game, let their talent speak.
Amazing placement. What a shot.
That was a Yahtzee overhead.
Aspect of mental toughness here that's just different.
I like the body language of all four players.
Oh, look at that shot! Great hands from Kiro.
Hello, and welcome to the 2023-2024 APTA Tour presented by Volley. We are live from the Woodstock Club in Indianapolis, Indiana, bringing you the 2024 Indianapolis Open, which is the 14th stop on the 2023-24 APTA Tour, with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership, the APTA national sponsors Volley, and Fusion and local sponsors Matt King Realty, and gold sponsors Woodstock Degenerates LLC, Burge and Held, Silly Pints, High Alpha, Dinsmore Law, Bullet Bourbon, and Xenon Paddle. I am John Kilmer, along with Tim Button, bringing you the men's round of 16 between Zach Held and Ronnie Schneider against Guillermo Nunez and Felipe Osses-Konig. Tim, I'm excited to be in the booth with you today. Why don't you introduce the players for us?
Thank you, John. Great to be with you. On the near court, in the olive top, we have Felipe Osses-Konig and his partner in black, Guillermo Nunez. In the far court, on your left is Zach Held, local Indianapolis player, and Ronnie Schneider. Zach wearing the gray top serving now. Ronnie Schneider in shadows wearing black with a little bit of red showing. All main draw matches will be regular scoring, best 2 out of 3 sets. All back draw matches will be regular scoring, best 2 out of 3, with the third set a match tiebreaker, which is first to 10, win by 2. The umpire for this match is Mr. Bill Mooney.
And Tim, I hear the second round was a bit of an upset when Held and Schneider took down local pro Brian Hagman and Tom Murphy. How big of a crowd was there for that one?
Well, it was an all-local match, so there was a great crowd out here on the deck here at the Woodstock paddle facilities down in the ravine, as we call it. The Hagman-Murphy match, fantastic first set, went to an extended tiebreaker that Held Schneider won 9-7 on a point that I literally left my house, drove 10 minutes, got here, and the point was just finishing. The second set, 6-4, so it's 2 balls here or there, and you have a different outcome in the match, but a fantastic match all the way around.
Yeah, and I think just looking at this draw right now speaks to the amazing quality of depth that is at Indy this weekend, with Nunez and Osses-Konig being the 4 seed. And a few weeks ago, they won the Atlantic Classic. So, I mean, to have a tournament champ as the 4 seed speaks volumes to the type of players that the tournament director was able to bring down, which is great for paddle and great for the Indy people to see the top levels up in person.
Absolutely. The tournament director, Ludo Aaron, who's the rackets director at Meridian Hills, along with his committee, which includes Zach Held and Devin Anderson and others, have done an amazing job of drawing attention to this event over the last few years and really trying to bring in the top names and bring up the level of play that's seen here in Indianapolis, and we're seeing it. Last year we had a fantastic event that the winners were presented with an all-new idea for a trophy. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, President Mark Miles, who's a member at Woodstock, was able to procure a couple of Indy racing helmets that have the Indy Open logo on them. That's what will happen this year as well. Last year we had the defending Indy 500 champion Marcus Ericsson on the court presenting those helmets. Not sure who will be presenting those helmets this year, but look forward to the helmet presentation on Sunday.
Should be a lot of fun. And it looks like Zach Held just put on his iconic bandana, which means we are about to get started. Tim, do you know if Zach played college tennis? Because I know the other 3 guys on this court did.
Actually, I'm not positive of the answer of this. There's 3 Held brothers who are all outstanding athletes. I think he might have played at IU, but I'll need to confirm.
Either way, he's definitely the best dentist paddle player in the country. I'm excited to get to watch Ronnie Schneider in action. I know he is a rising star in this game. This is his 2nd year playing. I know he played college tennis at IU. It'll be exciting to kind of see how him and Zach play together. I know Zach loves his rollers, as is case in point happening right now. Interested to see what Ronnie brings into the fold and how they kind of go about attacking these Atlantic Classic champions.
The comment Zach actually made last night was the over-under on lobs in this match will be 5.
That is a different style than I like to play. I think I would hit over under 5 drives in a match. So I'm glad the viewers will get to see a high action-packed match today.
Yeah, no question. Zach likes to bring it. The more aggressive he can be, the happier he seems to be on the court.
And something that gets brought up in almost every live stream, and it bears mentioning now, is that Nunez, a lefty, is playing the ad side, which some deem to be, a little bit strange because they worry about who's going to attack in the middle. But Nunez, despite that miss there, has a phenomenal backhand in the middle. Not to mention, so does Felipe Osses-Konig. And I think a lot of the times people look at the ad player as having to provide the offense from the middle. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of guys that do that with their forehand, but deuce players with backhands can be a dangerous weapon in the middle as well. And it looks like both of these guys are going to be able to bring it from there today. Strong start from Held Schneider, up quick 40 love.
Here's your first game.
All right, that was so fast. It looks like Felipe still has his vest on. We'll see how many games it takes for him to take that one off.
We're balmy 22 degrees here in Indianapolis today. We started the day at 17 degrees. We've got about a 10-mile-an-hour wind out there.
You know, with the snow in the backdrop, this is a perfect day for paddle. To your point when you were talking to Zach about how aggressive both him and Ronnie like to be, it'll be interesting to see how Nunez and Felipe Osses-Konig play their overheads. Because if you know that they're going to drive and you have confidence that your volleys are better and more consistent than your opponent's drive, a lot of that work can be done by hitting pushes in the middle, baiting your opponents to drive from back in the court, and just being a brick wall. Something I like to kind of tell my students a lot is, growing up when they were playing tennis, would you ever beat the wall? And they said no, because the wall doesn't miss. And if you can provide that with your volleys, that shuts down offense really quickly. Looks like we're getting a more traditional slow paddle point.
I think they're exceeding their over.
Right. He just wanted us to say that now so we could admire how judicious he can be.
Great deep lob there by Held. Allows him to take the net and the point.
Really good volley. Nunez was so calm letting that go between his legs. I thought he was going to easily go back and scamper for that one. And that's something I think we'll see a lot of from all four players today is hard rollers. Because to your point, with it being a balmy 22 degrees, you can start to hit some rollers hard that still stay low. Where in the summer, if you catch it even a little bit too thick, that ball is going to stay up high off the screens for redrive opportunities. Where in the low 20s, you can hit that roller a little harder and not get punished, which means that the net team should work that in a fair amount today. And there it is, another missed volley from Nunez. He seems to be playing a little too far back near that service line right now. We'll see if he starts to close a little more after these overheads.
Schneider just misses there.
Nice drop shot from Felipe. As this match progresses too, I'm interested to see what Held and Schneider's strategy becomes, because as we mentioned, both of them like to drive. So now how can you utilize that lob to set up the ball that you want? Do you want Nunez off the net? Do you want Felipe Osses-Konig off the net? Figuring out where you're going to hit that lob to set up that drive is going to be really important, because we don't want the viewers at home thinking that drives are just something you do willy-nilly when you get the ball you want. It's something that you do after you strategically lob to set up the exact opportunity that you want. And as this match keeps going on, it'll be really interesting to see what they kind of settle into for that strategy.
It will be, and with Schneider's say lack of experience in the paddle world, being he's really in his second full year as a college tennis player who was #1 singles player, probably in the top 5 in the country. Paddle is a brand new game to him, and so he made the comment yesterday that he's at the point now where he's learning one new shot per tournament. And so that strategy and thinking of where to place people with only a couple of years of playing the game, much less how many tournaments have you gotten in that time, it's a different animal than a tennis court.
And as you're seeing here, like, you really want to make sure that your overheads are keeping your partner in position, because Schneider is a young man who's very light on his feet, but we see him constantly moving back for those overheads, only to have to then sprint back up into the net. And, you know, this is a war of attrition, this game. Their last match went, what, 2.5 hours? Over the course of 2.5, 3 hours, it's that continual movement starts to add up. And if you can start to, when you're moving backwards, hit your overheads cross court to where they can drive it at your partner, and you can lean on your partner to be your protector, it's going to be important. All right, that brings us to our first deuce point. We'll see how these players handle this first high-stakes point of the match. And that's a ball right there that I think Held Schneider are absolutely going to keep capitalizing on at the beginning of this match. But I haven't seen Nunez move his feet to the way that he typically does. As you said, it's a cold one out there. I think they've been sitting for 2.5, 3 hours since their round of 16, or their round of 32 match. So really just getting their feet set underneath them, starting to move a little bit, I think will make a big difference in how many volleys they make as a team and how consistently they make those digs off the wires. Really good job there from Schneider, getting low for that dig. Ooh, fast roller. All right, let's see if there's any revenge from Schneider after that one.
Schneider got in a little trouble with that one short lob.
He did. And that was an impressively deep hard roller. And don't get me wrong, the speed was nice, but for him to be able to get it that deep so that Schneider couldn't get out of the way, that was really the secret for that winner there. All right, we are 1 point away from 1-all. It's a really good shot there of Schneider keeping himself on his toes to make these digs. It's encouraging, though, for both Schneider and Held to see that they are very comfortable with the Nunez lefty spin. Is there a top lefty in Indy, Tim? I can't think of one off the top of my head. Is Ricky Heath, though, a lefty?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think who would be the best lefty player around here. Blanking on that one.
Because that is something that, as a Pittsburgh guy myself, always drives us crazy, is that there are 12, 15 top 100 guys in Pittsburgh. None of us are a lefty. So we don't get to see them until we go to tournaments. Both Nunez and Felipe Osses-Konig like to play north-south, as we just kind of saw there. So we're going to see a lot of off-ball creeping forwards and backwards to apply pressure on those volleys and to take advantage of any sort of transitionary take-the-net opportunities. And just like that, even though he missed that one, that is his bread and butter play. That's going to continually have Zach and Ronnie thinking about where to go on that volley rather than just worrying about making it, which can be hard enough as this match goes on. Really good job there by Schneider, both getting that and then quickly moving laterally into the green to provide Zach the ability to back him up. Really good play there. And we're seeing the Osses-Konig feet start to speed up. And that's really what you want to have in this game, is fast feet, slow hands. With volleys, you need to be able to keep those hands still, and to cover that court, you've got to be willing to make some anticipatory moves, get that paddle there where you need it to be early, and make those routine volleys. Really good playing from him so far. And right there, both Held and Schneider got ready to volley, but we're going to see on this replay, or I guess it's a different one, but they walled up at the service line, and that's just too far. It gives both Nunez and Osses-Konig way too many opportunities to get that ball low and at their feet. Nothing wrong with bailing and giving up the net and live to fight another shot. And there's nothing wrong with really walling up and getting on top of the net, but it's really going to be tough if their definition of walling up on these volleys is going to be at the service line. Well, 2 games into this match so far, and I think Osses-Konig has attempted 3 backhand cutters. Interesting to see if that is going to be his kill shot of choice today, or if he's just trying to see what he can get away with early in the match to start to build a game plan around. Really good job there by Nunez, keeping that paddle low to make that half volley lob.
Great waterfall into the corner there by Schneider to end that.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, right? That middle of the court doesn't have to be a righty forehand in the middle. It can be the deuce player's backhand, just like Osses-Konig is doing. And that is, again, another north-south move by Nunez that he missed. That one was a little different, where it was probably below the knees. And that's one, as a player, you have to know that you have an incredibly talented young partner in Felipe Osses-Konig behind you. So if you're making that blitz and it's not exactly where you want it, let it go. Let your partner grab it, throw up a lob, and continue to keep fighting. And I think right there, that's something that the pros do really well that club players could think about remembering, is that there's a phrase, I believe Coach K deemed it, is that a miss is not a mistake. Where if you get the ball that you are looking for and you drive it and miss it, that is not a mistake. That is something that is going to show your opponents, hey, you cannot make him leave a ball there or else you're going to be punished for it. And even though Osses-Konig missed that last backhand in the middle, it's absolutely going to be a shot that he continues to look for throughout the match. And it's going to send a message to Held Schneider. They have to be careful about leaving it a little too far in the middle for Felipe. All right, deuce number 7. And there we go. That is that play that is going to continually apply pressure on that return. Now, not only do you have to worry about coming up with that first volley from an electric forehand return from Felipe Osses-Konig, but you know if you do not stick that volley low, Nunez is going to step in and really come in and blitz you on that. Really good play from these two so far. It looks like Osses-Konig and Nunez, too, are starting to figure out their footing on their overheads, where they're moving the ball around when they're stepping forward and able to dictate positioning. And almost every time that either one of them is stepping backwards on their overhead, they are playing traditional paddle, going cross court, limiting their opponent's angles to attack, and letting their partner step in. Another backhand cutter.
Quick feed of Schneider back in to cover that once again.
And to your point earlier, Tim, it's awesome to hear that every tournament Schneider's, walking away with one more shot in that tool belt. But to make sure that he's, like he's showing right now, really just ensuring that he has a backboard back there, not giving up any free points, being automatic off those screens. That is the less sexy answer, but one that is incredibly beneficial to your success as you keep climbing the ranks in the modern game. Oh, almost a great dig from Nunez. And we are back to deuce.
Deuce 8, we believe.
It is, yes. I think we're seeing why some tournaments like Philly implement the no ad rule. Is that otherwise we could be here a long time after 2 games. All right, they're taking a second, seeing if they can capitalize on one of their few ads that they've had in this game. And we've already seen from all four of these players just how well, a really nice third panel, decision panel overhead. That takes us to 2-1, held in Schneider.
Great comeback by Schneider on his serve there after hitting his first serve into the net, coming from behind to win after 8 deuces.
And you can tell that Schneider is recently a tennis player, where it's very common in the tennis world to sit down during your changeovers. There's a saying, don't wait until you get tired to try to sit down and regain it. Make sure that you're taking advantage of those breaks. And he was down there on that freezing cold paddle court, taking the load off for 30 seconds after that long game, getting his mind right, seeing if they can get out of here with another break. So Tim, kind of hard for me to tell from a computer screen, but right now, how is the sun playing a factor on this court? Is there a side that we should be kind of watching, or all in all, is it playing pretty true?
Definitely the players on the right side of your screen currently, and that'd be Nunez, Osses-Konig, are getting a little bit of sun in their faces. A high lob from held side of the court now might wreak some havoc and certainly makes it a little more challenging to see a drive at the net.
And that's where a huge advantage comes into play of being a lefty-righty team, is that at any given moment, if you're noticing you're having a hard time with one half of the court for whatever reason, pretty easy to switch that strategy over to your teammate taking more of those overheads and going the other way. Although it looks like Nunez and Osses-Konig are in no rush to avoid going to that deuce side.
Certainly getting a little more challenging for Osses-Konig and Nunez to see the returns coming out of the shadow.
Looks like a moment of good sportsmanship there by Schneider.
Appeared so.
I like right now how Schneider and Held are going into the eye. And it's not always about them holding the net easily on every shot, but it's just giving that returner one extra thing to think about. Where do they want to go with that return? And right now, Osses-Konig's doing his best Nunez impression, sneaking forward, turning this into a little bit of a pickleball point. So Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the 50th annual Indy Open. Is that correct?
It is the 50th anniversary of the inaugural tournament here. We had a neat opportunity yesterday to talk to Jack Hogan, who's from here in Indianapolis and played in that original tournament. Jack was a former Midwest president for the APTA, 3-time age group champion in paddle, and has been on the courts, down at the courts today and yesterday watching the 90s tournament. Wonderful to see him here. He hosted a luncheon today at Woodstock for many of the original sort of founders of paddle in Indianapolis, which started at a series of clubs and also a number of courts in individuals' backyards.
You know, that's not too bad of a backyard setup. I think that's one a lot of us paddle players are incredibly envious of. Well, right there, that was a really good two-game stretch from Nunez, Osses-Konig, ripping off those 2 games quickly to make it 3-2. Looks like they're starting to warm up, find their rhythm a little bit. Although Held and Schneider have been playing really, really well. They're playing long points, making really good digs, daring Osses-Konig and Nunez to come up with the shots that beat them. And really, that has to be their game plan moving into this, is make sure that they take care of the fundamentals, dare Nunez and Osses-Konig to step up and go for more aggressive shots.
Absolutely. I'd like to recognize one of our sponsors. Volley is a proud sponsor of the APTA. As the first AI-enabled training experience, Volley modernizes racket sports by delivering the on-demand dynamic system for live training and better workouts. Volley creates a community to connect pros and players while giving users personalized performance, insights to track progress, and customize their practice. Ask your pro about a Volley lesson today. For more information, visit getvolley.com.
It really is remarkable how good of a job Osses-Konig and Nunez are doing at just staying incredibly quiet with their bodies on these volleys. Even after they hit an overhead that they know is going to be driven, they get that paddle up, put their body in the way of the ball, and they handle it. Despite a couple getting a little low on them, would like to see them both take a few steps in when they think the ball's being driven. But man, when you know that you can hit a cutter like that from standing a few steps back, it's a pretty good reason to stay back there. Really good job of holding that too. Looked like he was going to hit a push up until he didn't. And right here is a really good example of just how this game becomes more and more challenging the higher up you go. I think Schneider probably hit 4 or 5 drives in that point that were probably point enders in 95% of matches that both are played and that he's played. And then just getting used to being at a level where you are getting really good looks at the ball, hitting the shot that you want, but it still comes in play. It really then just becomes, can you set up shots that you get 3, 4 drives in a row? Understanding it's never going to be one ball that wins you a point. It's just that consistent pressure throughout the duration of a point and a match. Right there, that's a really good example of that cold weather roller that he both hit really hard, but despite the speed, it stayed low and made it tough for Held to come up with the dig there. And that overhead there by Nunez was nothing that's going to be on a highlight reel, but it's just something that's so important for club players to really start implementing into their game. If you're moving backwards and you don't know where to go, just pushing that ball deep, and either to the middle or towards the half of the court where your partner is playing, really just resets the point, allow you to get back into attacking and get a better ball. Something that's not, again, not highlight reel material, but can make a real impact on the quality of your game.
off a little softer than Schneider was expecting there.
It did, and it's starting to look like the strategy for Nunez and Osses-Konig at the net is to really pick on that same person 4 or 5 times in a row, to then almost ice out whether it be Schneider or Held, so that when they do change directions and go after them, they're just a little flat-footed. They're just being caught on surprise a little bit, and not in a way that it's creating automatic winners, but it's just something that makes it 5–10% more difficult. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's something that they continue to do, because as of right now, they're having a lot of success with picking and sticking for 4 or 5 shots in a row and then moving on.
Lob just long there by Held.
Nice scamper there by Osses-Konig.
Schneider kills it in the corner.
Yeah, I really like to see that from Schneider. Despite all the spins that he has at his disposal, it looks like he's really willing to hit those off-pace overheads that can do a lot of damage, especially in that cold weather temperatures, where you might not see the rewards in summer paddle from that off-pace overhead, but in the winter, if you can hit it behind someone and keep it low, that's a really tough ball to dig. Really good dig there in the corner. Nice little hands-to-hand exchange, and we're back in neutral. And that's just another view. Just really nice athleticism from Schneider, making a dig and having really the wherewithal to keep that paddle high in that hand-to-hand combat. All right, Tim, if you were Held Schneider, what would you be thinking about doing a little bit differently, if anything?
More selective on their drives is probably the challenge they're facing right now. As you talked about the wall earlier, it appears to be mostly a brick wall at the net by Nunez and Osses-Konig, and trying to find some angles at this point instead of just brute force.
Yeah, I agree. And just when you show that you're a little bit more willing to lob, it can almost lull your opponent into this sense of complacency of, oh, this guy's not going to drive it. I don't have to close. This guy's not going to drive it. I don't have to be on the balls of my feet. And over time, it's a game of inches at this level. And if you can just almost lull your opponents in, or just create just a shadow of a doubt over what you're going to do, that can really make the difference. Because to your point, right now they are maybe not being the most selective on their drives, but despite how well they're hitting them, Nunez and Osses-Konig know they're coming. So they are on their toes, paddles up, and entering that brick wall mode that you mentioned. I really love right now how Osses-Konig is playing as that deuce player. He has an absolute weapon of a backhand, and you can see him really almost cheating towards the middle of the court to get that look. It's just so important for players at the club level to recognize what is their strength and play into it. I think a lot of the times there's this nonsensical idea that if you are the better player, you have to play the ad side. And I just don't find that to be true. I think you want to position yourself into getting the most out of what weapons you have. And if you have a backhand and you play the deuce side, you can cover a whole heck of a lot of the court with that weapon. And that's something that he's doing really well right here on this point.
Great off-speed overhead there.
like that play a lot from Held there. He knows that a drive is coming in a hurry, and instead of stabbing at it with a forehand, he got into position, said, if you hit these 6 boards, I'm going to come up with the volley, and if you don't, I'm just going to turn around and grab it off the back screen. Really good way to keep that point going.
15-40.
So right here is where I think paddle, just the more you play, the more you start to buy into this idea. They are down right now, 2 break points. They're down 4-2 in this set. And as a tennis player, as a competitor, as an athlete, you want to do nothing more than to speed up the game, rip some winners, get this game, and get back into this set. And regardless of how badly you want that to be the way that it works, this is the exact moment that you want to slow it down, start being really judicious and selective, to your point, about what balls you are deciding to drive, and making sure that you're not giving away any free points. It's just giving away free points at the net is just not going to be how you beat guys like Nunez and Osses-Konig at this level.
Fantastic backhand rip from Osses-Konig to finish that. Send us at 5-2. Osses-Konig leading here in the first set. Once again, for anybody just joining us, Felipe Osses-Konig wearing in the near court in the gray sweatshirt. His partner, Guillermo Nunez, in black. On the far court in red, you have Ronnie Schneider from Indianapolis and Zach Held from Indianapolis wearing blue.
Really good cross there from Nunez, keeping those hands quiet, tucking that volley into the corner. 15 love. Really good dig there from Nunez. Back turn to the court, still found a way. All right, another really nice little short ball winner, 30 love. And there it is too, right? These are just the little things that end up winning you matches. Both Nunez and Osses-Konig just back to back hit really nice push overheads, deep cross court off their back foot. The point's still going on. It's TBD who's going to end up winning, but they kept themselves in a really good position to maintain control, even though they had to slide back to the baseline to do it. That was a Tom Murphy-esque volley there from Nunez, getting right on top of the net, flipping and hitting a really good forehand volley.
Another spinner.
Held starting to find that backhand, swinging with a little bit more conviction. It's absolutely a shot that he knows he has, and that can always be tough when you're playing with a partner that's as talented as Schneider, where you're thinking, you know what, this ball's in the middle, my backhand might be an A- look, but his forehand is an A. But just keeping your opponents honest, and when you do have that shot, swinging at it with full conviction like he's starting to do now, can be the huge difference between making and missing, and he's doing a really good job of putting some commitment behind these backhands. All right, and that leads us to our first set point. Ooh, I don't love that one. It looked like Osses-Konig was moving back, ready to bail. Nunez was in the process. Stab volleys just are not a sustainable way to win. And that regardless of how big of a lead you have, set points always are meaningful, and you want to play those as judiciously as possible.
Big rip there by Zach Held.
And nothing can get a team motivated quite like saving off some set points can do. And right now, Held and Schneider now have played back-to-back really good points after saving that set point. We'll see if this is a little change of momentum that they need in this first set.
2-5 is usually a surprising score to come back from, but I've seen it more often than you'd think it would happen. It almost seems like you play looser, thinking you're no expectation of winning a set, and you play a little more free.
And then maybe you snag a game, you realize, we can do this after all.
Absolutely.
And away you go. And I don't know what it is about paddle, but momentum is a real thing in this game. And it is something that when you have it, you want to keep pressing it, and you do not want to let that slip back in your opponent's favor. Haven't seen any sort of like kind of dink and blitz moves from Osses-Konig and Nunez in a little bit. Not sure if that's just something they like to do in a little bit of a warmer weather, or if they're just feeling really good in their ground strokes right now. But something to look for. And that looked like the first backhand from Osses-Konig today, where his goal was to hit a winner rather than to dare his opponents to make the volley. And that's a subtle change. Oh, here comes the little blitz from Nunez. It's the second you as a player start thinking your drive has to be a winner is typically when that drive starts missing. But when you just say to yourself, listen, I'm going to hit a quality ball, my opponent makes the volley, good for them, that's really the recipe to sustainability. Really good roller there from Zach Held.
Killed it off the snowboard there.
He did. Those always feel good.
That's one of his patented shots. That's the first time I've seen it today.
And he makes a nice little grunt when he hits it. It just makes you feel bad as an opponent to lose a roller off the snowboard like that. A little demoralizing. All right, just like that, they had a set point. All of a sudden, it's 5-4. So just looking at an update from the rest of the draw, it looks like Durant and Mitchell beat Rams Wagner. They lost the first set 3-6, then took the second and third set 6-1, 6-1. So they are into the semifinal at 5 p.m. Eastern. After this quarterfinal, it looks like around 3:30, Fraser Morgan are heading out there against Baxter Heath. And reigning defending Indy Open champions, Dan Hansen and Dan Hirsch, playing against McNerney and West, coming around 3:30. So lots of really good paddle matches should be heading out to the court right now. Heading up for some phenomenal semifinals and finals today. We're in a real battle in the first set of this quarterfinal. Really good help call there from Schneider. I think a lot of times people are pretty good about communicating at the net, and they're a little quiet talking on balls at the middle. And a lot of the times you'd think, you know what, that's obvious. But every call is obvious up until it isn't. And points in situations like this, where every point is so vital, you can never go wrong by over-communicating, making sure your partner's on the same page as you. And even though Held missed that one, and he's not thrilled about it, it was a really good take.
The athleticism by Schneider to reach back and find that ball was tremendous there to save that.
It was, and I was thinking the same thing as him. I saw Osses-Konig start to wind up for that backhand cut that he's been hitting a lot today. He held it, faked it, and Schneider, to your point, was able to use that athleticism and just make a really nice dig. again, really good job by Schneider, really starting to make those calls on every point. Communication is so important, and he's doing a really good job in these high-stakes points.
No.
All right, Zach Held, the veteran. Big point. He's tying his shoes, adding, maybe icing the Nunez serve. We'll see how this goes. Really good communicating. I cannot stress enough how important it is. Really good job by Schneider right now. Wow, he is really finding that next level.
From down 30 love, held Schneider.
There we go. Held chiming in, making really loud and proud calls at the net right now. And when you do that, it's like a little magic trick. Everyone thinks the pros always make the right call. And to be fair, they make the right call a lot, but they make the call so early that even if their call's wrong, it gives them and their teammate time to adjust to that new reality, get into position, and hold the net. Because right now they are up, they are down 30-40. This is a big point for them, right? So just making sure that they can control the net is huge.
They just won the game.
All right, score was wrong. So
wrong.
game,
Yeah.
that is, all right, 3 straight games, 5-all, after Nunez Osses-Konig had a set point up 5-2.
Yeah.
Looks like the paddle mojo's switching a little bit.
Absolutely, from the 2-5 score to down 30 in that last game to pulling it out, quite astonishing.
Really good play there by Nunez. And that is a team play, right? That might look like Nunez took over that point, but Felipe Osses-Konig hit an absolutely stellar, heavy forehand return down at the feet, causing Schneider to volley that ball up. That allowed Nunez to capitalize and poach that ball. That is an awesome team play there. Ooh, the little jump from Schneider after that volley. I liked it. Really good.
Great hands at the net by Held there. Series of excellent volleys by Held Schneider.
And they're starting to really move as a team now. Like, they're starting to understand when their partner is about to hit an overhead that's going to be driven. And they are preemptively getting that paddle up and closing the net, giving them opportunities not just to stay in the point, but like Held did right there, tuck one behind for a volley winner.
Great corner ball by Held. Full-on attack by Nunez.
And that's a play that's really working for them. So I would be, if I were them right now, I would have Osses-Konig do that same move off of the Nunez return. That is shades of Mark Parsons right there, just hitting a heavy roller right into the nick. Really timely ball by Zach Held to put them up 6-5 in this first set.
Certainly, as you called it earlier on, momentum is everything in paddle, unlike some other sports, and we've just seen a great run here by Held Schneider, rattling off 4 straight games.
Right. I didn't realize I had this kind of power as a commentator. I wish when I was playing, I was able to manifest these type of things for myself. I really like to see the lobbing right now from Schneider held, where they have just ripped off, as we were talking about, 4 straight games. And that is when that adrenaline can be pumping. You're like, you can see that finish line in sight. You just want to race to it. And you got to just keep rocking with the strategy that got you there. To your point earlier, Tim, looks like they are starting to be just a little bit more selective about their drives. Still driving a lot, but it's the right ball at the right spot. And if they can just keep compounding good decisions, good things will happen. And he missed that one, but that was a shoulder high ball that he can hit with that forehand all day. That's a fine miss. All right, that's 2 misses there. This is where you do not want to be the one who makes that 3rd miss. So I would not be surprised to see Held play a little bit more conservatively this point. Keep that ball in play a little bit longer and see what Schneider can do. Tim, is that like the 3rd or 4th waterfall winner that Schneider has had today?
He's had some pretty ones. That was, as you said, let's see what Schneider can do, and you got to see it.
And it looks like when they're at the net, they're starting to think about, every shot having a purpose, where they're starting to figure out what overheads can set up that Schneider waterfall. Because while the waterfall is an amazing weapon, and I want him to keep using it, against Nunez and Osses-Konig, you don't just get those looks for free. So that comes by hitting a sequence of really strategic overheads to get that short ball that you can then waterfall. And I like to see how they're starting to think 2-3 balls into the future rather than being reactive. Really awesome paddle. Great dig there from Schneider. Whew, that had some lefty stuff on it.
A lot of chatter in the crowd after that exciting shot.
Yes. Everyone has a different word for what type of junk was on that one. But regardless of what, it was an excellent, excellent cut. Both Held and Schneider read it, and they still couldn't get there with how much cheese was on it.
We're knotted at 6s.
And for those of you at home who couldn't quite pick up on the ump was saying, he's just kicking us off with our first set tiebreak, 1st to 7 points, win by 2. There's the Schneider waterfall. I would just keep going. In Pittsburgh, Scott Kaler's the one that has the trademark on that waterfall. And he's hit it against me before like 10, 11 times in a row, where he'll start chuckling after 5 or 6. Doesn't make it any easier to dig, and Schneider's doing a good job of that right now.
Great hands by Schneider there on the volley.
And he's feeling it. I remember earlier, right, we were talking about how he was sitting down during changeovers. He is sprinting to the other side to keep that mojo going.
Certainly helps Held and Schneider having already played a tiebreaker in their last match against Hagman Murphy. Sets them up to perhaps be a touch more aggressive here.
It does, right? And like this, a lot of the times when you are in these first set tie breaks, you start to move away from what got you there, and you start realizing the significance of every point, and you go into I don't want to make a mistake mode. And to your point, they got to play a really pivotal one in their last match where they are comfortable in these high stakes situations and going for it. And all 4 of these guys right now are doing a really good job of moving in unison as a team. And it's just, if your partner gets pulled out of position, being willing to shift a little bit into the middle and cover for them, just really maintain the status quo. They're doing a really fabulous job of that right now. So Tim, what's your thought on that? When you are playing with your partner and someone's hitting a heavy overhead against you, do you like your partner saying 1 or 2 screens, or do you find that to be distracting?
I certainly prefer it because I think you just get such a better read from further away as to the pace of the ball sometimes, that having a partner who, as long as they're accurately calling it.
This is true. Sometimes I've played with people who love it, and I've played with people who don't. But personally, I just find I like to be the partner who makes those calls, because especially if you're not seeing the ball for a couple shots in a row, it's a really good way to stay mentally engaged in the point. And like that is what you need in a tiebreaker where every point is pivotal. And Schneider missed that ball, but that ball was bringing him back into the blue. He played college tennis, has a heck of a backhand. That was a really good take, just didn't execute. All 4 guys take a deep breath, and we are 2-1 in this tiebreaker. Nunez, Osses-Konig up. It still does not look like Nunez has that same pep in his step that Osses-Konig does right now. So if I were held Schneider, I would really be going after Nunez right now and changing up the speeds. Now, Nunez, is a negative 13 PTI, so clearly he has every skill in the world to handle all these shots. But at this exact moment in time, if I was on the court, that's what I'd be looking to do, see how he handles with that change of speed. Because Osses-Konig is flying right now. Even though that didn't work, I really respect Schneider going after Nunez the way Nunez went after Schneider earlier in this one. You know what? He wears the bandana on his head and his heart on his sleeve on that one. It's kind of how I play paddle, loudly. Oh, that's big. That's big. All right, 3-2. Still anybody's ball game.
Big bounce back with that serve.
It doesn't happen often in paddle, but when you can win a point off your serve, feels great. Really good health call, really good poach. All 4 guys are playing high-level paddle right now. Another waterfall, like it. Dunk. And this is where, too, we're starting to see Schneider is going to that waterfall a lot, which I like a lot, but that means that if we can see it coming, you'd have to think so can Nunez and Osses-Konig. So next time that we see Schneider set up for that waterfall, it'll be interesting to see if Nunez and Osses-Konig try to jump that ball early, take it on their eyes, and pounce for a down-up drive.
Fantastic volley there by Held. Surprised Osses-Konig. Ball caught the line.
That is a skill that I wish I was better at. In tie breaks, I was way too lenient in my playing days. If I was in doubt, I'd call it in. Really good job there by Held. It was out, he called it, took the point, moved on. 4-4. Whew, this is a battle of a tiebreaker. There's the waterfall again. I am a bit surprised that neither Nunez or Osses-Konig has tried to jump one of these and get it on the rise for a down up. Although it is a high stakes tiebreaker right now, so maybe they're tabling that for the second set. Because it is absolutely a shot I've seen both of them hit. Nice touch ball. Ah, and Osses-Konig goes right at the body, catches Schneider a little off pace. 5-4, Nunez, Osses-Konig.
Great reaction there by Osses-Konig.
It was, and when a ball's coming right at your face like it was going at Schneider's, you got to get your paddle up, right? He wanted to bail, but did not want to get hit in the face either.
For Osses-Konig leading the tiebreak here, the first set, and serve into the nick.
I've been where Zach Held is on that one. It is not a good feeling when a ball nicks. You have it all ready to go, just an unfortunate bounce. All right, we have 2 more set points for Osses-Konig and Nunez. Do they capitalize, or are Schneider and Held the comeback kids? Wow, great backhand from Held there. That is a phenomenal hard roller from Nunez. Oh, nice jump from Schneider. Making a case for this sport getting onto ESPN one day. All right, looks like Nunez is just going to cause chaos for this point and see what happens. And there we go. After a long battle, Nunez and Osses-Konig take that first set tiebreak, 7-4. Nice little replay of the high-speed action.
Tough ending to the set for Held Schneider, but a heck of a comeback. Never gave up. Down 5-2. Took it all the way to the tiebreak.
It will, and it looks like the Held Schneider are taking a step off the court to grab some water. And with that, we will be right back in a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel, presented by CPTC.
So what really interested me about the trainer was the endless opportunities with it. I've gone through a couple ball machines in my career before, and this really was a technologically advanced machine that I've never seen before. Digging into it a little more in depth, I really found the opportunities to use it in my advantage. All right, ladies, just 1 minute, we'll get started. Always trying to recreate these tennis ball machines into paddle ball machines to practice, and this was the first thing on the market that really came out. We have a robust membership here, very active in the paddle community, and I think the Volley is going to kind of put us over top as a program. All right, ladies, welcome. All right, today we're going to go over our side back screens. So we've got the Volley trainer out here with us today. We'll have 2 on this side hitting. So the cool part about the Volley is during lessons when I'm able to use it is I really get a more in-depth connection with my clients. So when I have a lesson out on the court, I can set up the Volley to feed a screen, and I don't have to be on the other side of the court kind of yelling to them what they need to change, what they need to do while I'm hitting. I'm really using my time with them right next to them to make those changes quicker so they can have more success in the long term. Bridget's on the net, Robin sliding over. We are going to be beat by this cross-court lob a lot. I'm Blake Anderson, Director of Rackets at Fairmont Country Club. Try the Volley at your club and you won't regret it.
And welcome back to the APTA Tour. We are live from the Woodstock Club, bringing you the 2024 Indianapolis Open. We are in the quarterfinals between Felipe Osses-Konig and Guillermo Nunez against Zach Held and Ronnie Schneider. We just had an absolute battle of a first set where Nunez Osses-Konig were up 5-2, 40-30, and Held Schneider battled back into a tiebreak before dropping that tiebreak, I believe, 7-4. So should be a good second set between the 2 hometown boys and the reigning Atlantic Classic champions, Nunez and Osses-Konig. Tim, what are you looking for in this second set?
I'd like to see Held and Schneider come out with the same aggression and freedom of play that they brought when they were down 5-2 and seem to be able to really turn it on. Unfortunately for them, I think Osses-Konig and Nunez are charged back up by that tiebreak win of the first set and may try to take a quick hold of this second set.
Yeah, a play that Nunez and Osses-Konig ran a lot to very high level of success was Nunez blitzing off of the Felipe Osses-Konig return. And that is a play that I am really interested in them running more often because both of those players have that skill set. They like to play fast, and it just adds an additional level of pressure. So that is what I will be looking for. We will see. But to your point, I think Held and Schneider are finding a really good speed to play where they're communicating well, playing, swinging free, and still making good decisions along the way. So if they keep doing that, we are in for an excellent second set of paddle. Now, do we know, does Held change his bandanas between sets, or is he just rocking with the same one all day?
Could possibly be his lucky bandana that hasn't been washed in 5 years.
Oh, love it. I'm not great at washing my winter hats, but that's a little different than the classic bandana. But he does rock it a little better than Federer, so I can't blame him for having a lucky one. Speaking of lucky, there's Schneider with a nice little wet court winner. Takes us to 15-all. Something that Schneider is doing a really good job of too, in my opinion, is that he is covering a lot of court in that middle on those push overheads and throwing up lobs. And he's putting enough height on those lobs for him to still get back into his home base and not kind of get sucked into the vortex of being run side to side. So even if you are going to cover a lot of court like he is doing, as long as you're either able to hit a lot of drives or lob with enough height underneath that ball, you can get right back into position, no harm, no foul. Zach, honestly, Tim, I don't even think you and I have to commentate this match. We just got to get Zach Held mic'd up, and that might be even more entertaining than what we can do.
Zach is definitely a colorful player, and as you said earlier, wears his emotions on his sleeve. You know exactly when he's hit a good one or a bad one. He's fun to play with, hits the ball incredibly hard. So when you're a lower level player up against those drives, I won't say terrifying at the net, but I think I'm only a 7th-year paddle player, and the first time I played him in the Indianapolis Open, I was a first-year player. I played the game 5 weeks, and that was my opening match. And I returned a winner against him only because it hit a strange part of my paddle.
You know what, though? That's a winner against Zach Held. So if the viewers at home remember anything from this match, it's that Tim Button hit a winner on Zach Held. I remember a few years back, my partner Cam Cohn and I were playing in the Mud Hole, which is a summer tournament in Columbus, against Noah Seidenberg, who is the owner of Xeon Paddle. And he hit back-to-back aces against us and proceeded to drop his paddle on the ground and run victory laps around the court that he hit back-to-back aces. So always fun to play against guys who know how to have fun.
Clearly you haven't forgotten that moment.
No, I haven't. It doesn't matter that we won the match. He won the moment, and that's really all that matters. Looks like all 4 of these guys are coming out this second set playing a little bit quicker. I think they're still making pretty good decisions, but it'll be interesting to see if this speed of play continues. After a long first set, sometimes all 4 of these guys just want to see what happens if they change up that speed of play. And looks like the faster they play right now, advantage goes to Osses-Konig and Nunez, but we're still very young into this set.
Nice soft hands on the volley there by Held.
Really good backhands from the middle of the court from Felipe Osses-Konig. It's a good take there from Nunez. He missed it, but I mean, he played college tennis at TCU. I think he's still a hitting partner in the summer with some pro tennis players. Has every shot in the book, so good take from him there. All right, quick game, 1-all. Well, it looks like the shadows now are basically cutting the court in half. It will be interesting to see if that makes it easier or harder for these guys. I'd have to imagine it adds a little bit of difficulty to the volleys, but we'll find out. I like that little exchange there. A lot of times, in my experience, club players like to say how they just don't have time to make the call. They don't know if they're going to be right or wrong. And, you know, to my point earlier, you don't always have to be right as long as you're early. I think right there, Schneider made it so early that he realized he was wrong, had the time to apologize to Zach Held mid-shot, made the shot, came back, won the point. So as long as you make that call early, you can still stay alive.
Was an entertaining exchange there.
I remember a few years back, I was at a tournament and Tyler Frazier and Adam Morgan were on the court next to me. And there was a point where Morgan was going in front of Tyler to hit a couple volleys, and then Tyler couldn't see him, and he just shouted, "Where are you, partner?" And just a real testament to the fact that paddle is just one long conversation when you are playing at a high level at the net. And the more that you can talk and just make consistent calls, better you and your teammate are going to be. Like the words of encouragement from Schneider to Held there. Saw the cut, told him he was there, turned out to be right. And I like it. The longer Schneider's playing with Held, the more emotive he's starting to be with his body language after these points. So I believe, Tim, if the live, ooh, that was a nice one. Didn't even say sorry. We'll see if Osses-Konig takes offense to that one. I think we have a replay here of a big time forehand from Ronnie Schneider right at Felipe Osses-Konig. So, Tim, it looks like right now 3 of the 4 quarterfinals are all being played at Woodstock. What is the crowd like there? Are they kind of evenly split up amongst the 3 courts, or are they all gravitating to a match?
Well, the gravitation is actually to the fire pits, people trying to stay a little warm. So the good news is we have 2 fire pits, but covering this court, and then you can stand and look at courts 1 and 3. Decent crowd for a cold day. Probably got 60 or 70 people down here in the paddle hut. or
Yeah,
on the
I
deck.
remember last year when I played in Indy, it was a much warmer weekend, so the free beer was a huge hit. I bet you today everyone's just asking for free coffee or hot chocolate just to warm their hands up as they stand out and try to watch some high-level paddle.
We have professional paddle players here. There's beer being consumed.
Yeah, I wish I was able to play well if I had one. It's just I turn into a horrific player very quickly. So just water for me.
Oh, I was just talking about the crowd, not the players yet.
I like that keyword yet.
Now we'll
Good
have
forehand volley there from Schneider.
there'll be a terrific Indy Open reception tonight for all the players that are in town and sponsors and any guests who are kind enough to come out and watch the play.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you were saying that Johan Durant and Stephen Mitchell made an appearance last night, which is just awesome that they came down a day early, made an appearance at Woodstock before the tournament today.
There was a terrific opportunity to play with a pro, and your two pros that you got, two of the pros you got to play with were Mitchell and Durant, and they put on a clinic for everyday players, men and women, took advantage of it, and third pro was Brian Hagman, Rackets pro here at Woodstock, and they had a terrific time, 90 minutes of play, 30 minutes per pro. Then Durant and Mitchell, Brian Hagman, his brother Jeff, and a couple of, Zach Held and, Zach and Ronnie Schneider came into the hut after playing an exhibition match and sat down and cracked a couple of cold ones and gave some nice stories. We'll save some of that for the Durant match coming up, because it was an experience, and I appreciated the chance to get to hear some honest talk of how you got involved in paddle, places you learned to play, what you think about playing in a back draw.
And that's what makes our sport so fun. Fans do not get to get on court and play with Roger Federer when they go see a Cincinnati or U.S. Open. But if they come down to Indy, they get to take a clinic from arguably the greatest player of all time, get to be on court with them. It's just phenomenal game at all levels of the sport, and to see the top players give back is phenomenal.
Neat experience. I think everyone I saw come off the courts had a big smile on their face, and I think learned something. Two, I think to your point, if you're a Yankee fan, you don't get to take batting practice with Aaron Judge.
No. And I just remember every time that my partner and I would get into a draw, and we'd have to win either a round of 32 or a round of 16 match to get the honor of losing to Johan Durant. That was a match that we took very seriously, because to be able to get on the court with those type of guys, whether you are on the pro circuit, whether you are a club player, or whether you are a novice, it's just always a phenomenal time. Well, this is shaping up to be very similar to how the first set went. 3 quick games, Held Schneider getting up 2-1. Unfortunately, in the first set, after Held Schneider got up 2-1, they might have dropped 4 consecutive games. But we'll see if they learn from the past and can kind of stick with the lead in this set. Both Held and Felipe Osses-Konig really being a force in the middle with their backhands. I will never not hype up the deuce player when I see them bringing offense from the middle with a backhand. That is how I like to play the game, and love to see others playing it the same.
Great soft touch there by Osses-Konig, dinking it over the net.
It was, and there was phenomenal anticipation where we kind of saw in that replay. He started moving before they even hit the drive. He had a feeling, he committed to his read. Excellent soft hands. So Tim, I could be mistaken, but I feel like every time Nunez turns it into soft kind of dink and dunk paddle, he comes out ahead in that exchange. I don't know why he's not doing more of it, because unless I'm missing something, he seems to be winning almost all of those exchanges.
I think you're right. We'll have to see if he starts to realize the advantage he seems to have on that, and capitalize more. But at the same time, as you said earlier, you start to see it too much, it becomes a little bit predictable.
Right. What a phenomenal dig there from Osses-Konig. And I like to highlight those because a lot of the times the pros make this game look easy, but even for the top guys, the seams and the screens can sometimes take funky bounces. They do not panic in those circumstances. They keep moving with the ball, even if their back ends up going to the net. Stick with it, fight off a lob, and they're still on the point. And what, we are 10, 15 shots removed from that, still same point. Things going well.
Good read there by Schneider.
It was. He learned from that first one what lefty spin will do. Played that one like a seasoned veteran. Schneider's back with the waterfalls. Oh, I thought Nunez was going to dink and dunk, but he faked me out.
Mike is picking up thunder strikes.
Yeah, when these guys crash into the screens, they go full force. I really like right now how Osses-Konig is just hitting these overheads flat, but changing the pace to create movement. You know, don't get me wrong, cut overheads are really fun to hit, and slash overheads can create movement. But at the end of the day, so can changing up the speed in which you're hitting your overhead. And alternating between pushes and hard out wide screens has Schneider moving a lot.
It did, and it looked like Schneider may have gotten a little impatient there.
And to your point about being a touch impatient, that's where I think it's really important to remember that paddle is very much a cumulative sport, meaning at any one of these points can be 15, 20 shots and he can dig forever. But when you start to play 2-3 hours in and you now know, oh man, here comes Felipe Osses-Konig changing the speed on me, moving me around left to right. I don't want to get stuck in this cycle for 20 shots, and I'm going to try to press a little bit. And that is exactly what Osses-Konig is looking for you to do, knowing that he is going to keep hitting those high percentage overheads and baiting you into being aggressive because you don't want to just buckle in, which can be really hard in that second set. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of make an adjustment from there.
Nice read by Schneider off the ball on the screen. Goes on offense, takes it. Lob just misses by Held, apologizes to his partner.
It does. And a quick read from our sponsor before we get into this next game. Fusion. In collaboration with the APTA, Fusion is at the forefront of personalized gear and apparel. Backed by a team of seasoned industry experts, we provide exclusive access to high-end products from top-tier retail brands, all poised for customization with your club logo, team name, or corporate branding. Our streamlined approach guarantees a hassle-free shopping experience, complemented by custom online storefronts and swift ordering. Visit www.gearbyfusion.com and let Fusion seamlessly weave your brand into elite merchandise. Hopefully, they will even have a Zach Held headband for purchase at this year's Indy Open. It is awesome to see, too, the influx of youth in paddle in today's game, and just seeing, despite their athleticism and how they honestly have every shot in the toolbox, they're still, all four of these guys, committed to playing the right way, hitting the lobs, setting up balls to attack, using their dynamic athleticism when appropriate, and still playing athletic paddle rather than turning this into mini tennis. And Osses-Konig played at Elon. I believe Nunez played at TCU. Schneider played at Indiana. All of these guys are in their mid-20s, and they're really elevating the sport, not turning it into something else, which is awesome to see. There it is. That Nunez little dink and blitz takes advantage of the net. Really good play from him. I like that replay. Schneider couldn't believe that ball went over. Has that hand over his head. He's thankful for the make. And we are back to deuce. Really good volley there from Schneider. Even though he had to reach, did a great job of keeping two hands on that paddle, staying really in control, softening that touch, 3-all. Wow, great court coverage by Held Schneider. Not 1 inch of that court cannot be covered by these two. Really, really good playing.
Coming at Schneider. Work their way back to the center screen.
I like that a lot, even though Schneider maybe looked a little uncomfortable on a couple shots. After they threw up a lob, Held asked him to switch, and Schneider very politely told Zach, no, thank you. So he's starting to feel comfortable on both sides of the court.
Big rip and blitz by Schneider. Just misses long.
And it's so hard, right? Because we can sit here and say he should have let that volley go, but after making such an amazing forehand and coming up to the net, you really want nothing more than to stick that volley and get up into the net out of transition. And that's one that, yes, he should let go, but we want him, to your point earlier, to kind of keep playing that relaxed style that they played at the end of the first set that led to success. And you know what? Sometimes you'll miss shots because of it, but that is enables both of them to play at their best.
Tough ball by Nunez right at the feet of Zach Held.
And that's something that, as a lefty-righty team, Nunez and Osses-Konig, they both have to flip to their forehand on their volleys a little bit more than maybe we would teach club-level players that are either both lefties or both righties. And that is something that these two guys make look incredibly easy, that I can assure you, when you are trying to withstand a Zach Held or a Schneider forehand, casually flipping between forehand volleys and backhand volleys is not easy. And they are doing a phenomenal job right now of keeping that paddle quiet and doing that really successfully. It's a real testament to their level of racket skill.
Noticing that Nunez and Osses-Konig are now playing their forehands in the middle, whereas they started the match today with their forehands on the outside.
Yeah, and that's something too that I think pros do a really nice job of that club players don't necessarily think about, is that where you play on the backcourt does not dictate where you play at the net. So I know a lot of people might prefer to play the ad side at the net. So they're like, okay, I'm an ad player at the baseline. Could be true, but it doesn't have to be. And we're seeing both of these guys have, to your point, Tim, they have their backhands in the middle at the baseline, and then when they get to the net, they switch to make sure that as a lefty-righty, they both have their forehands in the middle, and they can really dictate an attack on their overheads.
Great patience by Zach Held there.
It was. And not just the patience of lobbing, he did a really, really good job of moving that lob around to create tough looks for Nunez on that overhead. Because even though Nunez had time to set up for that cut, he was pulled so wide that he ended up only having 2 boards of court to aim for. And that caused him just to miss that one into the net. Really good lobs by Zach Held.
Which set up the ability to go aggressive there because he'd lobbed the previous one. Brilliant change of pace.
Exactly, and that's what we were talking about earlier, right? Like, not just that change of pace, but all of a sudden, those guys weren't quite expecting it. They were one step too far back on their heels, weren't able to make that forehand volley. 4-3 for the hometown Indiana. How many hours on the court today, Tim, do you think Zach and Ronnie have been on? Because I know their second match was a real long battle.
Yeah, good 3 hours plus on their match against Hagman Murphy. I did not get the time of their first match today, but they've been out there quite a bit. But both players are in fantastic shape and I think have the ability to stay in this match no matter how long it extends.
Oh yeah, they'll be just fine in this match. The walk to the car at the end of the day might be a little different, but we're going to see these guys absolutely leave it all on the court for the rest of this match. And we're also kind of seeing, it might be me stating the obvious, but at the club level, I think a lot of mistakes are made because you try to be too good on every shot because maybe the trust in your partner isn't there. So what, 5-6 shots ago, Zach Held came up with a really, really tough dig and ended up hitting a short lob that Osses-Konig was able to cut, but Ronnie Schneider was there to back him up. And the more that you can help your teammate out, all of a sudden now they start feeling more confident in your ability to make shots. Even if you hit a short lob, it's not the end of the world. More balls go in. It's once you start trying to compensate for your partner and hit every lob in the back third of the court, that's when misses can compound really, really quickly. And as we all know, paddle is a game of minimizing mistakes. And the more you can trust your partner, the less mistakes you are going to end up making.
Aggressive play by Schneider, not quite rewarded. Tried to cut that one off. There you see Nunez on the blitz again.
I think that's the first missed return Osses-Konig has had today.
Great hands by Zach Held. Just like that, Held Schneider with a chance.
And it goes without stating that this is a really big game. If you're Held Schneider, you really just want to take this right now while the momentum's in your favor. And in 5-3 seems like it's a decent lead, but all of a sudden you can't convert here. It's 5-4. Things get dicey in a hurry. But 2 quick points for Held Schneider to have a 30-15 lead. Ooh, they are starting to play on their heels. You do not like to see hangdog, as Brad Easterbrook likes to say a lot. You can lose points, but you cannot let your body language show your opponents that you are not feeling it.
Big rip by Nunez there.
Wow, these are just massive forehands right now from Ronnie Schneider. It's a great take. He's upset that he missed it, but that's a ball that he should be taking 10 out of 10 times, and he'll make it 9.5 out of 10. I really like right now how Osses-Konig is controlling the play by hitting just push overheads to different locations. Really, really good job. Veteran move, honestly. He's had a really successful year this year with multiple partners at a slew of tournaments, looking to make noise in this one. Just really solid play from him right now. Wow, what a phenomenal cut in the middle. That stayed ridiculously low. Schneider was there, just couldn't get his paddle underneath it. Awesome shot from Nunez.
Right here, guys, right here.
Hometown crowd trying to pick up Helden Schneider here.
Wow, that's the shot we saw him hitting a lot in warm-ups, but it's a different beast to do it 40-30 down 3-5. Awesome shot there from Guillermo Nunez.
Big time play.
And Schneider got a good jump on that. It's just Nunez hit it just too well. Awesome shot. 5-4. We'll see if Zach Held and Ronnie Schneider can get the hold to tie this thing up at 1 set apiece.
Yesterday's 90s, we got to see Ryan Baxter hit a serve in a similar manner and backed it up into the net that confounded a few folks in the stands.
Yeah, I can hit that shot really well 1 out of 20 times. That's a little different than Ryan doing it in the men's 90s. What was the outcome of that tournament yesterday, Tim?
That one is still on hold. We had significant snow all day yesterday, so a lot of the players were trying to pick out the green snowflake from the white snowflakes. And when we got to the finals time, there were a number of courts around town that were not available due to ice and snow conditions, and so from a safety standpoint, they just made the decision to move that match. The 90s championship will be tomorrow. I'm not sure yet if that will be before or after the tour event ends.
Gotcha.
Finals for that will be John Baxter and Tom Weesey against Ryan
Baxter and Ed Burns.
And
which
Ed Burns, I'm sorry.
and I believe that is a rematch of the men's 90s finals of the Steel City Classic.
Yes, it is.
Which I co-ran with Tom Weesey, who is just an ageless wonder. 52, probably moves better than any 25-year-old I've ever played against. So awesome to see him making noise in his hometown tournament.
A lot of discussion amongst those two teams yesterday in the paddle hut before they called off the championship match to say who was going to defend on that. John Baxter with some serious smack talk. John Baxter and Burns are both Woodstock members, great friends, and nobody wants to lose that one.
Well, and they are clearly phenomenal recruiters. When you can get Tom Weesey to play with you and Ryan Baxter, you're doing a few things right. And there we go. Second set, all by Held Schneider. We will be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CPTC.
Hello, this is John Weinleiter with Volley, and we're here at the Philly Open having a great time. So exciting to be out here at the second Grand Prix event and seeing all the momentum that's being gathered this season. It's been great being a partner with the APTA, and we've been excited with all the momentum with Volley as well. And we're about ready to hit our 500,000th ball right now on all the trainers. So it's pretty exciting that people are finding the product and talking about it. To keep track of all the new stuff going on with Volley, follow us on social or visit our website, getvolley.com. Thank you.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We are live in the third set from the Woodstock Club, bringing you the 2024 Indianapolis Open. We are in the quarterfinals between Zach Held and Ronnie Schneider against Guillermo Nunez and Felipe Osses-Konig. We have gone back and forth all match with momentum swings, great athletic player all around, with Nunez Osses-Konig taking the first set 7-6, Held Schneider taking the second set 6-4. And we are about to kick things off in the third set with the hometown Indianapolis crowd firmly behind hometown heroes Zach Held and Ronnie Schneider. Tim, should be a good third set.
Should be a great one. We've got, for anybody just joining the broadcast right now, on the court right now, you'll see Felipe Osses-Konig in the gray sweatshirt, his partner Guillermo Nunez in the black top with the TCU logo on it. Coming back onto the court wearing the blue shirt is Zach Held. In red, wearing IU colors, is Ronnie Schneider.
And I got to hand it to Held and Schneider. They have taken advantage of all of their breaks really well. It is something that when I'm playing, I do a horrible job of. I just sprint from one side to the other, and I wonder why I am dehydrated at the end of a 3-hour match. These guys doing a phenomenal job, staying fresh, ready for battle in this third set. All right, and we are off. Quick point from Held Schneider.
Good communication.
And this is where
there.
I think, yes, having that high-level tennis background comes into play in the conviction of the swings on the ground strokes. It's something where a lot of us club players, we know the importance of the third set, and we don't want to miss. And even when we take those drives, it's a touch tentative. And these guys have such history in racket sports, understanding that it's really just about the commitment on that follow through. And Schneider all day today has been absolutely zero hesitation on his forehands, great follow throughs, and it's something that I expect to continue throughout the duration of the match, regardless of how important these points are. Oh, great try. Held did a good job getting out of the way. Schneider got that paddle low. It's really good touch there from Osses-Konig and Nunez.
Great hands at the net. Nunez reaches a little late on that one.
And I don't love the reach there, but I think the reach was caused by neither him nor Felipe Osses-Konig being willing to get up and wall up. So it looked like while Osses-Konig was ready in position to make that volley, Nunez just didn't know where he was. And that's where I think at the end of the first set, all four of these guys were doing a phenomenal job of communicating on every ball. Whether it was obvious or not, they were making loud and proud calls. I think that is what Nunez and Osses-Konig have to get back to doing. They have all the skill in the world, and if you can be on the same page, then you are continually hitting high quality takes. And that could be the big difference between winning and losing a match of this caliber.
Second. My apologies to that question you had earlier in the match on the best lefty in Indy or one of the stronger ones. Ricky Heath, as my texts have blown up, is absolutely a lefty.
I knew he was a lefty. I just wasn't sure if he was in Indy or not, because I know Baxter is now in Louisiana, so I wasn't sure. No, Ricky Heath is a phenomenal player, and I'm glad that Indy is claiming him because he is a force to be reckoned with. And it was just pointed out, too, that I think Ronnie Schneider might have been throwing us all for a loop. He played at UNC, not Indiana, despite the Hoosiers gear that he is rocking right now. Still incredibly high-level tennis, just Tar Heels are a slightly different color than the Hoosiers.
Well, I thought he was a Tar Heel because he's always wearing a Tar Heel hat, and was very surprised when you called him an Indiana player, and I figured you knew something I didn't.
Yes, I guess I knew something that you didn't either, and that was just a total made-believe stat. So glad that we could fix that and give him the shout-out that he deserves. Pride of Chapel Hill. Held does such a good job of getting almost every one of his rolls to come within a couple inches of that nick. And it's just, it really induces a little bit of chaos because he doesn't even quite know where it's going to go. So as the opponent, it's hard to make that read until the last second, and then you're just a touch late on a lot of those lobs. Really excellent job hitting the nick on those.
Tough ball. A lot of lefty spin on that ball by Nunez. Big waterfall from Zach Held. Not sure if that hit the net.
Sounds like the action's starting to pick up a little bit around the paddle hut.
The crowd is filling in for sure.
I mean, when you hear that your hometown boys are in set 3 against the 4 seed, I mean, you got to get off the couch and make your way down to Woodstock to catch the action in person.
Side screen spin again by Nunez.
I mean, really good job by Schneider as he's tracking these balls down, getting that paddle low preemptively so that when he is there just in time, he's still in a position to make that shot. But really good cut there from Nunez to bring the score to 2-1. Nunez, Osses-Konig.
Nunez seems to be bringing a new level of enthusiasm for a little while there in the second set. Seemed to be a little upset about a couple misses, but he seems to be back and fully engaged in pleasing his members at the Pelham Country Club in Pelham, New York.
Yeah, he has had an absolute phenomenal season across partners, just making deep runs into just about every tournament that he's been in. Really good addition to the game.
A lot of fun to see a club pro on the live stream. You know your members are watching, excited to see what their pro can do.
And then, you know, you just have to have that line in case you ever make maybe a little bit too aggressive of a decision where, look, do what I say, not what I do. You can see Nunez is starting to be on the prowl back there, looking to kind of make something happen with a quick move. And they're up to the net now in transition. Wow, great get from Schneider, and Held's there to back him up. And now we're back in the point after back-to-back really good digs from Held Schneider. Wow, both Nunez and Osses-Konig right now with really soft hands, both handling and absorbing pace on these volleys. But Held found the weak spot in the middle. Looks like might have been some confusion or couldn't quite see the ball out of the shade. Either way, 15-love Held Schneider. Looked like Nunez hit a classic kind of Chris Humphreys fake waterfall drop shot there. Held that paddle up, then he did a little bit of like a drop squat into a drop shot. Really, really nice play.
Really seems to be going to another level right now in this match.
And before, it looked like a lot of their strategy was around Osses-Konig creating movement by changing up the paces of his overhead, where now it looks like they're trying to create movement via the drop shot and cut, just in a way of bringing Held and Schneider north-south to create confusion and really up the ante into the level of athleticism on any given point. I really like the small adjustment that they're making. And that was one where Held even did a really good job of seeing it coming. He just accidentally flipped to that forehand rather than walling up with the backhand. 15-40.
That was an important serve for Held Schneider. They're going to have a chance to somehow hold this serve.
This is a great angle of watching how often Zach Held really attacks that nick. It feels like every shot's coming right into us. Really good. Oh, I think Schneider thought that was going to be a winner. A little surprised to see Felipe Osses-Konig come up with that one. That takes us to 3-1.
'90s finalist John Baxter just gave a nice wave to the booth.
Looks like the sun is starting to be a bit of a factor with how far back it is. But Nunez and Osses-Konig playing well, fighting through it.
Nunez looking straight into the sun coming down in the west here across the White River.
Really nice anticipatory play there from Osses-Konig. Oh, wow. Phenomenal ball. Phenomenal. He hit that with absolutely zero hesitation, caught it really clean. That thing shot right back into the net. And before we get into game number 6, a quick word from our lead sponsor, Volley. Volley is the official sponsor of the APTA for the 2023-2024 season. Backed by cutting-edge technology, including its unique vision software, Volley is the innovator of the first AI-enabled racket sports training experience that simulates point play. By enabling players and pros to record sessions on the court, Volley also delivers off-the-court player analysis and support, all from your phone. It only takes minutes to sign up. Ask your pro about a Volley lesson today. For more information, visit getvolley.com. Looks like they are trying to formulate a quick strategy there at the net of how they are going to navigate around the sun coming right into their eyes. Never a fun place to be in the third set of a match, either fighting through the bright lights of a court at night or trying to fight through the sun, which can be arguably more difficult than any paddle opponent. Oh, phenomenal move there from Nunez. As you said, really starting to elevate his game here and kind of take it to the next level.
Yes, we had a little scoring scoreboard miscommunication. It is currently 4-1 in the third set. Nunez Osses-Konig over held Schneider. Important moment in the match for held Schneider to get back in this. Ball just wide and held Schneider and starting to be in a little bit of trouble here. Zach Held finally returns the favor on the spin.
He does. He knew the second that left his paddle that was going to be a winner. Started turning his back the second he hit it. Awesome shot.
Trying to help my friends out any way I can.
Love it, right? That is the move that has really been working for him all day. Is just taking advantage of going north-south and turning those soft shots into these dink and blitz opportunities to speed up the pace of play and turn it into a real hands battle. 5-1 Nunez Osses-Konig.
Nice flick there by Nunez.
I think Held was surprised as anyone that Nunez decided to hit a redrive there rather than a lob. Really sneaky play from Nunez.
Really feels like this third set has been the Nunez show.
It has been. He's really brought out all the tools, and that brings us to our first match point of the day. Just out. Still have a match point, 40-30, Nunez Osses-Konig.
I mean, that's what we always say. You know, we'll play.
And there we have it. After a long quarterfinal battle, Nunez Osses-Konig take it in 3 sets, 7-6, 4-6, 6-1. Tim, what you think about that one today?
Fantastic effort by Held Schneider. They down 2-5 in the first set. They turned it on. They loosened up their play. Gave a scare, I think, to Nunez Osses-Konig, where they had to come out and bring their A games in the third set to make sure they finished them off. Just fantastic match to watch. Appreciate seeing local team make it into the quarters. Brings the crowd out, brings the excitement out. But that was wonderful finish by Nunez, Osses-Konig, with a heck of a third set by Nunez especially.
Yeah, having that ability to take it to an even higher level than you were already playing in the first 2 sets was absolutely huge for Guillermo Nunez. And really awesome opportunity, at least for me, to get a really good look at Ronnie Schneider. Really strong player who looks like he's going to be around for a long time. So really fun match here. And that is a wrap from the Indianapolis Open quarterfinals. We have a semifinal match coming up quickly against Johan Durant, Stephen Mitchell, against the winners here, Nunez and Osses-Konig. Not sure how long of a break Nunez and Osses-Konig are going to want, but that match should be happening shortly around 5 or 5:30 p.m. So don't go anywhere. Lots of great paddle from Indianapolis still in store for us tonight.
Hello, this is John Weinlater with Volley, and we're here at the Philly Open having a great time. So exciting to be out here at the second Grand Prix event and seeing all the momentum that's being gathered this season. It's been great being a partner with the APTA, and we've been excited with all the momentum with Volley as well. And we're about ready to hit our 500,000th ball right now on all the trainers. So it's pretty exciting that people are finding the product and talking about it. To keep track of all the new stuff going on with Volley, follow us on social or visit our website, getvolley.com. Thank you.